welcoming you into a brand new hour of CBS Sports HQ. Haley Sutton, happy to be joined by Chris Hassel, our NFL guys. We've got Danny Kanell and Pete Prisco in the building. I know a lot of us are trying to push forward and process our first week without football on Sunday. Pete, it's been a day. It's been a week for you coming post-Super Bowl there with your Eagles interview we're going to get to in a minute. But how you feeling?
They love me in Philadelphia.
Yeah, what's going on? I mean, the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts looks good doing it, and all you do is you just trash the guy, and you said, I'd basically take any quarterback in the league over Jalen Hurts, including guys like Justin Herbert. And so you got called on the carpet this morning on Philadelphia radio, 97.5 The Fanatic. Here's a little piece of that.
The bottom line is he's a good quarterback. Nobody's saying he's not a good quarterback.
Well, no, because
they asked me who I would take for the next 5 years, and that's who I would take. I would take Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts for the next 5 years. I would take Trevor Lawrence over Justin Herbert. Now, over Jalen Hurts for the next 5 years. Now, come back and revisit that. I could be wrong.
Would Justin Herbert have won that game?
No.
Justin Herbert can't. He never answers the bell, Pete.
Would Justin Herbert have won that game, Pete?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
no question about it.
Okay, so what's the problem? What's
the problem is
because a lot of people are upset. We have a lot of Eagles fans here.
You should see my Twitter.
That are very upset.
You should see I was going to say they're always upset.
Prisco is an absolute joke of a sports personality. On and on. You're a jackass. On and on it goes. I mean, it's just all
so it's just a normal Wednesday for you.
Well, the Eagle fans are really upset with me over the fact that I picked some guys for the next 5 years.
How did this start? Like, why? They just won the Super Bowl, and then you out here, you're like, I want to go viral. I want to go viral. I'm going to say Jalen Hurts isn't very good.
You really want to know how it happened?
Yeah.
Ruben, our viral seeker, asked me 2 days after the Super Bowl to do something on comparing where I would rank Jalen Hurts. And I said, I'm not going to do it for right now. I do it for the next 5 years. And that's how it was kind of framed, and that's why I did it that way.
Okay, so explain why you would take Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts for the next 5 years right now.
Because I think he's a better quarterback. I think he can stand in there and make the throws, and no matter what's around him. And look, has he had the success that Jalen Hurts has had as a team player? No, his team has not. Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl. Kudos to him. And by the way, I think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. It's just, if you're going to rank them who's better, I would take, for the next 5 years, I would take.
Well, I want to jump in because our producer Noah wants to be a little bit different than Ruben, wants to be more on the cutting edge, so he's going next 3 years, not 5. So does that change
the window there for you?
And I would take Justin Herbert for the next 3 years.
Danny?
And I think Danny would agree with me.
This whole thing is stupid. How we try to determine who the best quarterback is by the Super Bowl alone. Like, would you rather have Dan Marino or Trent Dilfer? Well, Marino doesn't have a Super Bowl win, but I think he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time who never gets mentioned because he doesn't have a Lombardi trophy. But I still think he's one of the best throwers of the football of all time. And that's essentially where Philly is giving Jalen Hurts like this huge bump because he has a Super Bowl trophy, which is great. And that's what you should do for your quarterback of your franchise. And that is the ultimate goal in a team sport. But does it mean you're the best or better than another guy who has completely different weapons, different players around him, different defense on the other side of the ball, different systems that they're executing? It's a totally different conversation. But since we're going to do it, we're going to do it.
But you could be a great player and not win a title.
Correct.
And I, you know, Henry, who works here in office, a big Eagles fan, was going all in.
Too.
He was going all in on me and everything. And you know what I did? I brought up Allen Iverson, Philly fans.
Yeah.
How many titles did he win?
He didn't have a problem with that.
No.
He didn't have a problem with it.
Was he a winner? He was a great player, but he didn't win a title.
But I guess the question, because we are going to do this segment, so be prepared. We're going to go through a bunch of quarterbacks here and talk about if you would prefer Hurts or Trevor Lawrence. But I guess the nitty-gritty here, Pete, and I'll ask this to you, what is Jalen Hurts maybe missing that has you saying that he's just a great quarterback? Or what's the threshold there for why this whole conversation started?
Well, there's no real threshold. I just think when you look at him, again, he does some really good things, but in the context of that offense, and his running is a big part of that offense, so give him credit for that. He's improved greatly as a passer. But when you play with the best offensive line in the National Football League, the best group of one of the best group of wide receivers in the National Football League, the best running back this year in the National Football League, it makes it a lot easier. And I asked you this, and I said it in the newsroom. If you evaluated the Eagles' offense by unit and broke them down, Number one would be the offensive line. That's the best part of the offense. Number two would be what? Probably the running back. Number three would be the pass catchers. And number four would be the quarterback. So that's how you evaluate
so
that.
Hurts is the weak link of that offense.
He's not, well, that's not what I said. But
no, I would say.
I see what you're saying, though.
But I would say of all those positions, too, all of those other units are probably top 3 in the NFL.
Correct.
And Jalen Hurts is not. So
and he's good, by the way. He's a really good quarterback. It's just that I think I prefer some of the others.
All right, well, let's see who you prefer. We're going to start in your favorite town, Jacksonville.
Drag him into this, too, because he needs to go down with this shit, too.
But we'll ask Danny first on the next one. But this one specifically when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, I know you've had good things to say about him over his career. Would you take Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence? 3 years is the window that we're working with for this
And by the
segment.
way, I picked it even. At this one, when I initially picked it, and the reason I say that is because Jalen Hurts has done it already, and I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to do it. He was picked number 1 overall for a reason. There's a pedigree there. There are reasons why he hasn't done it yet in Jacksonville. In large part, the Eagles' ex-coach. I didn't like the offense. Doug Peterson didn't do a great job with him in the offense, and so I do think it's there. And by the way, Eagle fans, let's not remember they went to Philly and should have won that game. Jacksonville in the middle of the season. He threw a bad interception. He shouldn't have thrown late in the game.
Wait, so you're riding the fence here? You're saying it's a tie?
It's a tie.
This one was a tough one for me too. I still think you go with the physical skill set that Trevor Lawrence has. He has a bigger arm. He's a better runner, which is a lot of what these evaluations are coming to, which is why Jalen Hurts wasn't a top 10 pick. He has intangibles that are off the charts, but I think from a player who you would want to go with and build around, if you asked anybody, all things were equal, you would go with Trevor Lawrence because he could make up for some of the weaknesses around him, where I don't know if Jalen Hurts can make up for some of those weaknesses.
So there you go, Eagle fans. I called it even. He picked Trevor Lawrence. Get on his bud.
We need to text Ruben and make sure we clip that and get it
next
up.
one.
Great.
I don't even know why this one's included here, but Noah wants to ask Hurts or Jaden Daniels.
Oh, Jaden Daniels.
Jaden
All day long.
Let's move on.
We'll bounce past that one.
Said about that one.
This one kind of interesting, though. Hurts or Drake May?
Oh, another easy one. I think it's easy. I think you go with Drake May. I think he's a better
I was going to say, I feel like it's not easy for Pete.
It's not easy. It's. I think we're rushing it a little bit on Drake May. Now, from a physical, standpoint and standing in the pocket, making the throws, being able to move, he moves better than you think he does. The talent is there, the potential is there, but we got to see it first. We got to see a little bit more. So I'd go with Jalen Hurts.
You like to project, though, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Next 3 years. So 3 years from now, Drake May will be a better
If you
quarterback?
put Drake May on the Eagles with that roster, would he win a Super Bowl within 3 years? I think he would.
He wouldn't have won it this year, though.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Wow, Danny's more of a Hurts hater than Pete.
No, I'm not a Hurts hater.
I didn't say anything from this segment.
How about Hurts or C.J. Stroud, who was great as a rookie, but then kind of took a step back this year?
I would take C.J. Stroud. I just think, again, a guy that can throw the football better. He doesn't run like them. You'd have to play in that offense. But I think if you get a run game, and he had it with Mixon this year, and have people healthy, I think he's going to be fine. His problem was his offensive line. You put C.J. Stroud behind that offensive line in Philadelphia, he's going to stand back there all day and pick you apart.
These are easy. It's C.J. Stroud all day long that you would take over Jalen Hurts. Again, he's a better thrower of the football. He's a more natural passer. He has more arm talent. The running capabilities, you could argue that Jalen Hurts is better, but they don't ask C.J. Stroud to run a lot.
Well, I think Haley's going to make it a little bit tougher.
Yeah, I was going to, and I was even maybe trying to go through my head and think like, well, who is a guy maybe that Jalen Hurts would have the edge over? Our next is Hurts or Brock Purdy. Danny, what do you think?
I see the same quarterback. And I think these two are equivalents because I've been pegged as a Brock Purdy hater by saying he was a product of the environment of the players around him.
The game manager conversation that happens here very often at HQ.
Exactly, but the game manager should be a compliment. But I do think they're interchangeable parts. If you put Brock Purdy on that Eagles team, I think they would have had a Super Bowl championship under their belt. Same thing with Hurts in Kyle Shanahan's system. I think he would execute it at a high level, a lot of underneath throws. He's mobile enough to get it done. And you put him with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield with George Kittle and with Deebo Samuel and some of the weapons that Brock Purdy has, I think Jalen Hurts would have similar success with the 49ers. I think these two are level. I think these are equivalents.
I'd probably take Hurts. And it's close.
BPH.
No, it's close.
I think Pete's been scared off by the
No, but I just don't think Brock Purdy's quite what everybody else thinks he is. I think he's good. I think Hurts is good, but I'd probably take Hurts.
You don't think the Eagles win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy this year?
Here's what the thing that we forget sometimes. Hurts' ability to run opens up Saquon.
Purdy can run.
Yeah, Purdy can run.
Not like that.
Yeah.
I don't think
Hurts physical. No.
Not his design runs aren't the same. They're not the same. Yeah, the design runs.
They don't ask him to.
Right, but the design runs for Jalen Hurts help open up the offense.
Okay. I don't think Danny has picked Jalen Hurts
Not
over
once.
any quarterback
Not
yet.
once.
He said
And it's
one's
been
even
easy
there.
is the thing.
How about
But I don't think
Hurts?
it should be offensive either, though, to Jalen Hurts. Like, I don't think I'm a hater. I love his story.
yeah, yes,
You just love all the other guys.
You're going to be a hater.
Okay,
Others
Baker
watching this at
Mayfield.
home, Eagles fans have pegged you as a hater.
Baker Mayfield or Jalen Hurts for the next 3 years?
I would take Baker Mayfield.
He had 40-plus touchdown passes this year. Baker Mayfield did.
And here's the other thing about Baker Mayfield that people forget. When he was in Cleveland as a rookie, he was damn good. Then he hurt his shoulder. People in that organization wanted to keep him. They should have kept him. He's kind of resurrected his career. I would take Baker Mayfield.
I think it's Baker Mayfield, too.
Okay, our last one is Jared Goff, which I'm guessing is also going to be easy for you guys. Pete, Hurts or Jared Goff?
Well, okay, but here's the other thing you have to ask your question. If you put Hurts in Jared Goff's offense, would he have more success?
No.
In other words, Jared Goff and the Eagles offense would have more success than Jalen Hurts would have in the Lions offense. Would you say yes?
Yes, but this one I think is probably one of the tougher ones because they are totally different style of quarterbacks. I might lean towards Jalen Hurts this one because age, he's younger. And I think Jared Goff is good as well, but I would lean to Jalen Hurts on this one.
Is there a quarterback, Danny, that you would take? Or you would take Jalen Hurts over other than Jared Goff? Because I feel like this was the only one that we got to.
Because we did this we did this the week after the Super Bowl where I had him 12th in the NFL. So yeah, there were 20 quarterbacks that I'd had below Jalen Hurts that in a lot of these conversations I would have picked Jalen Hurts to have over him. I think these are all really good quarterbacks. And there's one kind of commonality in all of them. A lot of them were top 10 picks because they have better physical attributes, and they just haven't been given the opportunity or the surroundings that Jalen Hurts has been put in, which has been great for him, and he's maximized it. I feel like Jalen Hurts might have the best mental makeup of anybody, which is why he's been able to have the success as he's had.
And here's the other thing about it. There's 5 elite quarterbacks in the National. 5. You know, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and now Jaden Daniels. There's 5. The next group, you can interchange all of them. You can put Jalen Hurts at 8, at 12, at 13. You could put him at 6. I think you could make an argument for all of them. But by sitting here saying Jalen Hurts is better than this, and this, I don't think you could sit here and say that. And so that's why there's always going to be debate. And by the way, fans hear what they want to hear. Those same fans who are giving me endless stream of crap, the radio guys who were waving their pom-poms, by the way, on that show, they're the same ones when he turned the ball over more than anybody from the start of 2023 to the midway point of this season, more than anybody. They're the same ones that were cursing him and saying he wasn't very good.
The worst, most vitriolic hatred I ever had on X was when I said Carson Wentz, he was in Philly. I said he wasn't built for the NFL and that he wouldn't last. And I had Philly fans all over me. Chris Long led the charge. Dan Orlovsky hopped in on it. They kind of were like, I can't believe you're saying this about Carson Wentz. And it turned out to be true. Like, he was not built for the NFL, did not last. But again, to your point,
well, just like
they
when
hear
you
what
say
they want to hear.
Nick Foles is the greatest accident in the history of the National Football League. Right. He's a winner. He won. He won a Super Bowl. He outplayed Tom Brady in that Super Bowl. Was he any good? He went and signed another contract and was a bust. He never did anything after that. So just because you win a Super Bowl doesn't make you a great quarterback. Kudos to them. It was a great team. They're a fantastic team. They were the best team all year long. I thought Mahomes would win the game. I was wrong. I was wrong picking against them a couple different times. But the fact is, there are quarterbacks that are all lumped together, and you can make a case for every one of them.
Which fan base was more difficult, the Steelers fans earlier this year or the Eagles fans today?
Yeah, it's close.
It's close.
They can both be nasty.
Hey, your Jacksonville fans weren't great with me a year ago.
Right.
You led the charge on that one.
Here.
My goodness.
Yeah, what were you saying? What was your?
I don't remember.
Something you got them in trouble. They were moving. They were moving. You had them moving.
Eagles fans will like to see this at the very least. They do have the shortest odds when it comes to winning the Super Bowl next year at plus 600.
Oh man, is that debate going to heat up, Haley?
Continue to have this conversation.
Got a bunch of free agents still on
Let's book this conversation same time next year.
And up next, Travis Hunter, can he really play both sides of the ball in the NFL? It won't surprise you to hear that Pete has a definitive take on this. He comes back with Danny next.